When I think about free will, I actually think about the earliest chapters of Genesis and sort of the idea that God created us with human beings with free will, and was so devoted to that idea of giving humans free will that even when humans misuse their free will, as they do pretty much from the first second we're set on the planet, that God is willing to still go along with that. That free will is so precious to God that even when it's misused, it withstands. And then there are a couple very prominent and troubling passages, particularly in the book of Exodus, where it seems like God abrogates the free will of another human being, most particularly Pharaoh, by hardening Pharaoh's heart. And this is both morally problematic because the outcome of Pharaoh's heart becoming hard is that the Egyptian people and the Israelite people suffer greatly, but it's also a theological question because if we believe that humans have free will, how is it that God seems to be manipulating the free will of another human being? It's one of the most challenging texts in Torah, and I'm not always entirely sure what to do with it. What I personally do with it is I try to understand the story as actually reintroducing agency to Pharaoh. The motif of Pharaoh's heart being hardened is mentioned 20 times in sort of this particular part of the book of Exodus. And 10 times it says that God hardened Pharaoh's heart, and 10 times it says that Pharaoh's heart was hardened. And so a lot of the commentary, and actually some of this in my mind is akin to some psychological research, basically says that it was Pharaoh himself who sort of hardened his own heart the first 10 times, and then his heart became sort of so stubborn and so recalcitrant that it looked as if it was divinely imposed, but it was actually Pharaoh's own doing. I feel very motivated to make it so that Pharaoh does have free will, for all the reasons that we talked about, the moral reasons and the theological reasons. And so this is sort of a literary way into resolving that question. But as I said, drawing on psychological research, there is also a lot of research that once someone starts acting in a certain way, we want to resolve cognitive dissonance and keep acting in that way. And so it seems like a plausible psychological read of Pharaoh in this episode as well.